idea where I'm going with this? I was wondering if he's going to put that song up tonight. But anyways, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. It's truly a privilege and an honor to have the opportunity to speak before you. It's a little bit different tonight because as I got ready to come up here, I left my jacket and I left my laptop back home. But it doesn't mean I can't come up here and preach regardless. I know technology is always there, and Chuck is telling me I need to put a microphone on. Is that correct? Yeah, we're batting 1,000 tonight. So. Am I good now? Can you hear me now? There's probably somebody watching like, what do they do up there at Wellsburg? Thank you so much for being here. And once again, it's truly a privilege and an honor to come and preach before you. And like I said, even though I don't have all the resources and it seems like everything is getting a little bit screwy here, we'll still have a sermon regardless. So I hope you'll be encouraged and edified by the things I say here. It's good to see David Delaney with us. I don't think I've seen you since we went camping. And we both made it alive. But it's good to see you, and it's good to see everybody here. And I hope the things I say here will be encouraging and edifying to you. Let's get started with this picture up here. And yes, it is about as the deer pants for water, so my soul longs after you. And we know that this is my favorite song in the world to sing, and we'll just get that just right off. We'll just rip the Band-Aid off of it right now. But the thing is, there is this great meaning behind that little first verse that was read there in Psalm 42. It brings us a mindset of what we need to be like. And as was read there, I want to make sure I'm saying your name right. Morgan? Because I know I've got it wrong before there, bud. So, but as Morgan read here tonight, he talks about some of the things that is dealt with as being the adversary. And we have all probably had an experience with a deer somewhere, whether it's in the backyard, whether it's out in the woods, whether it's on Interstate 77 or Interstate 70. You have experienced something when it comes to a deer. I remember one time I was in Marietta where I was working there at St. Mary's Basilica, and I heard something rumble behind me in Marietta, and it was two deer chasing each other going through 4th Street. And we've all had these experiences, and we also probably had some very tragic things when it happened to deer as well, when it comes to hitting a deer and damaging your vehicle and maybe cause some kind of injury as well. And we ask ourselves when these things happen, why did they do such a stupid thing to come out at night in the rain or in the snow? Or why did they come out right when you're driving at 70 miles an hour, maybe even a little bit quicker? We ask ourselves, why would they be willing to do one of those things such as that? And if you understand there in Psalm 42, in that very first verse, you understand that they are looking for water. And they are willing to risk a lot in order to find that water source. That's one of the reasons why they do the things they do. And the thing I want us to get here tonight is maybe examine all of Psalm 42 and ask ourselves, is this something that we need to consider when it comes to our faith? Do we have that hunger and thirst for righteousness, especially as we talk here in verse 1, do we have that thirst for God? And that's one of the first things that we see here, that we must have this kind of thirst for God. Look there in Matthew chapter 5, verse 6, it says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." You understand that water is everywhere. And you also understand that they know water is at certain sources that they come to and they pick up. And this is the thing that they need. And they don't have to have some kind of decision to drink or not. They look for the water source and they drink it. And you see where we as individuals, we have water sources as well. But maybe a lot of us including yours truly, maybe we drink something that's not water. Maybe it's Diet Coke, maybe it's tea, coffee, just a variety of things out there that is not necessarily water. And you see that it's not that pure form that we need to have when it comes to water. Even the chronic wasting away disease that deer had this past year, you see that they went to the only water source that they know, and it cost them their lives. And it's because it's not the thing that they need. And sometimes we look at that as well when it comes to trying to thirst for God. We try different avenues that may not be very effective to try to hunger and thirst for God. And look there in John chapter 4, verses 13 and 14, where you see that there's this particular woman that went to the well, and she wanted this water too. And Jesus tells her about this one particular water that she can get. He says, everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. He says, but whoever drinks the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again. And that water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life. And one of the interesting things that we see here is she asked how to obtain this. And one of the things that we find Jesus kind of responds to this is maybe there are some things in her life that she needs to fix. Because he kind of goes in a nonchalant way to find out what her marital status is like and how that is not in the right situation with God. We see that regardless of what's going on, she still wants to have this desire for the water, so much so that when she goes back into town to tell everybody about it, she left her pail behind. And let me ask you here tonight that there's all kinds of things that go through our minds. There's all kinds of things that we struggle with. And we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of our life? What is the meaning of our life? What is the significance of our life? Are you satisfied? Do you find yourself trying to fill a void into something? Or do you try to find some kind of sense of not being lost? Or do you find some freedom from pressure? Do you find a way to get rid of your undue anxiety? There's just a variety of things that we have problems with, but usually we try to find something else to fix that, or we think to ourselves that we can fix the problem too. Brethren, ever since COVID hit, we have been individuals that has been so self-reliant on ourselves. We look at ourselves to fix the problem. We look at ourselves to find a solution. We look at ourselves when it comes to entertainment. We don't want to go out like we used to. I don't know if you noticed in some of the statistics since COVID 2020, but it's been going on for probably about 10 to 15 years. But when it comes to organized clubs and organizations and leagues and things of that nature, all the attendance has dropped significantly. And don't think for a second it has not happened in the church. And the reason being is because we have found ways to entertain ourselves without having the individuals around us. And we have become individuals that has been so dependent of ourselves that we say to ourselves, we don't need anybody else. And God has reminded us throughout the New Testament, yes, you do. Above all, you need God. Above all, you need to have him in your life. And look how sometimes when we don't look for God, it's not surprising that we have misery that does not follow far behind. So we should try to thirst for him. We also should try to yearn for him as well. You understand, yesterday, everybody's like, hey, it looked like you got a little bit of sun yesterday. Yes, I did. I umpired yesterday. It's kind of crazy. Tuesday, we was in snow and 20-some degrees. Yesterday, it was 75 degrees and sunny. And wouldn't you know, I was on turf too. And David, you should know, it's not 75 degrees. It's probably about 90 degrees. And, of course, when you're done, you need water because you're thirsty and you don't want to dehydrate. You don't want bad things to happen. It's the same way when it comes to us when we don't have water anymore. We want to have more. We want to replenish that. We want to come back to that. You understand that we should have that kind of yearning as well. I cannot be satisfied with just a few times. I do struggle with a lot of individuals that think that one service is all they need during the week. I do struggle sometimes when some people feel that I don't even need that. I could just do these things on my own. But look how important it is that we should have this yearning for God. He should be something that I need. He should be something that I desire. He should be something that I look for and I want to learn more of. Look at Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 11, 12, and 13. And you see that the people of Israel, every prophet so far that I've studied, I'm right now in the book of, I think I'm in the book of Amos. And everything has been that kind of repeated pattern. The people of Israel are bad. They need help. And God's saying, I'm right here. It's almost like he's got that outreached hand and he says, I'm right here. Just grab onto my hand. And for one reason or another, the people of Israel, the people of Jerusalem, the people of Judah just does not want to reach out for that. And we say to ourselves right now, we say to ourselves as we come to worship him, why? Why do you not reach out for that hand that's trying to help you? And sometimes we forget about what it means to be around God. I told a story, I told this to Nathan yesterday, but I told this story this morning about, I think it's about 8 years ago I lost my job. I got fired. And brethren, there's no lowly feeling than a guy who is a preacher of the gospel losing a secular job. It's embarrassing, it's insulting, it just feels like you've kind of failed at life. You couldn't get along with people at a secular job, and here we are. There for a while, though, brethren, I didn't go right back on the horse. I could have went back and done a job, but I took time off. And the reason was very simple. God wasn't priority anymore. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our jobs, we get so wrapped up in our professions, that becomes our idol. And sometimes we become so wrapped up in that idol, we brush back everything else in our lives. We do it with our family, we do it with our friends, we even do it with God. And the thing is, I need to be back with God. If I can't be back with God, it doesn't matter what job I get next. Because all that focus is going to be is back at that job. And that's what I believe got me fired to begin with. And it's because, brethren, we got to have God a part of our lives. When it comes to our profession, does God play a part of that? When it comes to our marriage, when we look for the ideal girl or the ideal guy, does God have a part in that decision making? When it comes to our children, when we want to raise our children, does God become a factor in that as well? When it comes to everything we do we let God be the primary part of our equation in our life? Because God tells us, he goes, I'm here. And if you call upon me, I will hear you. He also tells us too, he goes, if you look for me and find me, you do it with all your heart. I've told you, I said, it's one thing to read scripture. It's a whole different ballgame when it comes to studying. Because there's things that I've come in my studies that I've never really took in consideration reading. And I think it's been great. And it's just because, you think about the Old Testament by itself. And we've talked about this. Maybe you've taken the opportunity to study the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. How far are you right now? We're only 3 months in if you did some kind of resolution when it comes to reading the scriptures. You probably went through Genesis and you probably went through it just fine. You probably went to Exodus and you were like, yeah, that's pretty good too, but man, why did it throw the laws in there? And then when you get into Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy, you're like, I don't know if I want to read this anymore. Why does this have to do with me? And then by the time you get to Joshua, maybe you're not even reading at all now. Or when you go into the real fun stuff like Isaiah and Ezekiel and Jeremiah, you're thinking, that doesn't apply to me. But if you ever take an opportunity to study those books of the Bible, every book has an important value to learn. Do not disregard it because you think that those rules that were applied for them do not apply to me now. Because there is some implication that we understand of a kingdom and a Christ to come. And this reminds us of this too. I have plans for you. And it's not just for the people of Israel, it's for you too. And by the way, when I look back at all the things that happened at my job, I'm very content now. Maybe I need to get fired. Because if I didn't, I may not be here right now. I may not be in Clarksburg right now. I may not be doing some of the things I'm doing right now. And I like doing the things I'm doing right now. So I would encourage anybody, when we say to ourselves, this sucks, this is bad, and this is not the way I had things planned. Remember, he does have plans for you. And you are an important part. That goes to the next discussion too. We must be ready for sacrifice. If you look at Romans chapter 12, and you see there in verses 1 and 2, he tells us, he goes, I appeal to you, brothers, I beg for you, brothers, to be a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service, or spiritual worship. He says, do not be conformed to this world. He's telling us when we come to this sacrifice, and we're coming to try to be this living sacrifice before God, don't let this world be your factors in your transformation. Don't let the world be the things that make you become the individual you are. Let God be the individual that you become to be. It goes back to the water, and you see that when it comes to that water, deer go through a variety of things in order to obtain that. It's not just the perils of a Toyota RAV4 coming at them. It's also the bear that comes after them. It's the coyote that comes after them. Maybe they try to go there and something else tries to attack them. They're fearful about many things, and rightfully so. But it is no less important because they strive to go to there because they need that water. Now you think about how crazy and risky that is when it comes to this deer doing this. And ask yourself, have you ever done something that risky when it comes to your faith? Have you been like Daniel? Have you been like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Have you been like Joshua or Caleb? Have you been like Moses? Have you taken these opportunities and know that there is some great risk involved, but you know what? It's with God, and it's worth it. There's probably only a few people to know who this is up here. David, do you know? Thank you. Chuck, do you know? That is correct. I know not to ask very many others because it's beyond your age. But anyways, that's right. That is Lisa Wetchell. She played Blair on The Facts of Life. Ed, did you know? Okay, thank you. I'm just going to stop right there before somebody tells me, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, the interesting thing about Lisa was she started to obey the gospel of Jesus Christ at the age of 10. And she was asked when she got on this big role with all these other girls on The Facts of Life, she was asked to do this particular scene where she was going to give up her virginity for somebody. And she said no. And it's because she had these values that she did not want to compromise, even when it comes to her character on a TV show. And the funny thing is, after that show was over, she kind of disappeared for about 20 to 25 years. And the reason being was pretty simple. Not only she wanted to raise a family, but she wanted to raise a family in Christ. She wanted to dedicate herself in Christ. And the thing is, Hollywood was not that factor in her life. And we say to ourselves, you know, when individuals become actors and actresses and we look at their lifestyle and we say we'd like to be like this, or we'd like to be like that, or we'd like to be like this musician, or we'd like to be like this author, or we'd like to be like this businessman. We look at these things and we say to ourselves, it's got to be a great life to be like them. But the thing is, and I think we miss out on it, is they got problems just like you and me. And unfortunately, because of that fame and that fortune, they don't handle that problems as well as you or me. And the thing is that she just decided to get out of Hollywood because this was not going to be something that involved having a great family and also dedicating themselves to Christ. We must be mindful, brethren, because there is going to be challenges in our lives for you and I. And we're going to go through some things that we got to ask ourselves, is it worth it? And I would encourage you when it comes to the challenges in our faith, that when it comes to God, you say, yes, it is worth it. If you look there too, understand that God is our sustainer. If you go there in Isaiah chapter 46, and he tells us here, he goes, you listen to me, O house of Jacob, all the remnant of the house of Israel who have borne by me from before your birth, carried from the womb, even to your old age I am he, and to the gray hairs I will carry you. I have made, and I will bear, and I will carry, and I will save. This is to whom will you liken me and make me equal and compare me, that we may be alike. And what God is trying to tell him here is I have always been there for you. I am always making sure that even though, and Isaiah went through a lot, even though you go through all this mental anguish and all this pain and all this frustration, I am still here for you. I can remember getting a phone call one night to find out Shay didn't make the basketball team. And she was pretty upset. I remember that discussion. I remember her crying. And you think about how you wish you could do anything you can for her not to have that pain. You know, Tracy's dog, Max, passed away recently. And it was interesting to see my kids do whatever they can for their mom not to be in that pain. Because she took it hard. And maybe you as parents, you understand that you will do anything for your kid not to go through any misery or any suffering or any unnecessary pain they have to go through. You want what's best for them. You want to make sure they're going to be okay. Brethren, that's our God to you. And that message, not only in Isaiah, but also in Jeremiah, and also in Ezekiel, and also in Daniel, and also in Joel, and also in Amos, they all remind us here that he is still trying to look out for your best interest, whether you think so or not, and whether you want to have him take care of you or not, and you might just push him away and say, I don't want nothing to do with you. God says, you know what? Maybe when you come back to me, I'll still be here for you. And any problem you're going through, I'm going to be here for you. I told you a story about this guy that passed away when I tried to visit him in the hospital, and his daughter still talks on social media to me. And many times she talks about how miserable she is because she does not have her mom, she does not have her dad. And it just seems like it's just her. And at the time when her dad passed away, her boyfriend broke up with her as well. And to hear her talk about all this misery she's going through, I have reached out to her multiple times. And I said, listen. And she grew up in Tyler County. I said, listen, I said, some people can live in Tyler County all their life and be happy. And I said, I wasn't one of them. And I said, if you ever get to a point where you don't think that you want to be here anymore, you call me and I'll come and get you. I know you don't know me that well. I know that's kind of crazy. Why are you doing this? It's because she is trying to ask for help. And I said, when you get tired of this, if you want to find some peace of mind, you call me and I'll come and get you. And the reason why I tell you, brother, is this. God does the exact same thing for you. And we say to ourselves, well, no, God doesn't give me what I want. No, God gives you what you need. And sometimes even that need we don't think we take that for granted as well. Because while we may not have great cars and great homes and great jobs, we still have each other. We still have our health. We still have great things going on in our life. And God's trying to remind us, while we're going this trek of life, I'm right here for you. Finally, we need him to survive. If you go to Psalms chapter 33, starting in verse 20, it tells us there that our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and he is our shield. For our heart is glad in him because we trust in his holy name. Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope in you. The reason why the deer drinks water is because he needs it to survive. And studies have shown us that we could probably live without food for 3 weeks. We can't live without water for longer than 3 days. And the thing that is being simply said here is, it's not about this bear that is longing to kill something or a lion that's longing to kill something. It uses this kind of animal that does not have some kind of killer instinct that needs to go find something in order to survive. It shows us in Psalms that I need God. One of the staggering statistics I have seen recently is the increased rate of suicide. And some will make the argument that it's the individuals that are wanting to transition from one gender to another is the highest rate, but that's not necessarily true. While that is a factor, not everyone is going through the same things they're going through. Suicide is a very bad thing, and it's at an increasingly alarmed rate. The number of women to commit suicide has increased. The number for individuals in my age bracket has continued to increase. And we come to find out that a friend of ours, I don't know if I talked about this a couple months ago, but I come to find out one of our classmates decided to take his own life as well. And we're going to bury him next month. And all of us had a story about the last time we saw him. And I told him, I said, I remember the last time I saw him. I was at work. He came through when I was checking out a register, and there he was. It didn't seem like there was a problem in the world going on with him. And we all have about the same story. We didn't think anything was wrong. And you would think because of his success in life, he was a pilot that flew all over the place. He was in Kuwait. He was in Korea. He flew all over these places. You would think that he has a good life. He had a wife. Brethren, there was something that was going on that we just don't know about. Could it be? Could it be that we didn't pick God as a factor to help us get through these things? As deer longs for water, how well does your soul long after him? Will it long for him tonight? Will you long for him tomorrow? Will you long for him when it comes back to being here on Wednesday? Or will you do it all over again on Sunday? The thing is, brethren, if you look here in Matthew chapter 18, it reminds us it's not about who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. It's what makes one great to get into the kingdom of heaven. Might I encourage you here tonight, if there's one here who struggles, striving to be great for the kingdom of heaven, what can we do to help you out here tonight? We have an opportunity. Maybe it's baptism, maybe it's repentance, maybe we need to pray about something. All these things are available for you here tonight. And I would encourage you, if you need to take this moment now, to come and sit up front and cast your cares upon him because he loves you. Take this moment while we have it now. So, if you need to respond, will you do so now while we stand, while we sing?